building teams that are based around trust. That's the central component. And from that comes personal relationships. And some of the things Taylor was talking about in getting to know customers, in this case getting to know our colleagues in a way that we know them personally. You've got to open that up first and open yourself up first.
I think it's important too that you initiate. It's so easy, as I mentioned, kings and queens and ambassadors, that everybody is equal, and I think it's important that it's so easy to look at increasing market share. It's easy to, as you were saying, here and now in the future, but we have to look at the past as well. And I think retaining and the retention of those that have been loyal to us, it's easy to forget them and basically excuse ourselves in the sense that, well, we have them in our back pocket. We want to, it's the new market. We're going to put our money, because they're with us, but that it's waning, and it can leave in a hurry, and you have to make the person that's been loyal to you feel just as special as the day one when they first met them.
Yes.
And not continue to gravitate toward now and the future.
Taylor, you probably got that same perspective. As a former executive with DirecTV, where our churn rate was 20% some years, I can really appreciate that. That's not a sustainable model. Other comments? Their perspective. Yeah, Michael, please.
Thank you, Scott. So we heard about collaboration over here. Our topic, customer foresight, we focused on a familiar ENP theme, and that's engagement. Engaging with the end consumer and understanding what their needs are in the future. And that's all based upon communication. And there were 7 platforms for communication that Chris brought up. And one of those that we talked about more at our table was the mobile platform. So there's video, and in fact there's WeChat, and what's used in place with our folks in China at this point in time. And engagement. A mobile app recently, the first in our company, the second in the industry over at United Auto Credit, which allowed us to more effectively engage with our end consumers. I think in terms of getting a pulse of what your consumer wants for the future, you have to stay on top of those things. The video, the mobile, the emerging technologies. Look at what your kids are doing, because that's where your consumers are going.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Yeah, just to piggyback on that, what we're seeing is actually moving more towards video and chat, abandoning email. So they're chasing the global workforce and the mobile workforce using all these devices, smartphones, laptops, and to engage. Look at the most popular millennial platforms. You have Snapchat, you have FaceTime, Skype. And so video and chat requires presence. And email can sit in an inbox for days. So that's what we're seeing more and more in terms of engaging customers, engaging your workforce, is how do you get someone to require presence? Try and multitask on a video conference. It's very obvious.
Yes.
How many of you have cooked, maybe gone to the bathroom on an audio call?
Oh.
Statistics say it's over 50%. So that's just something that we're seeing more and more in terms of the most important part of business, which is communication.
Great comment. By the way, we had the CEO of Fluidmaster speaking on the audio call. He would disagree with you. He enjoys audio calls from his product line. Yeah. Other comments, other perspectives. Yeah, I'll come back to you, Scott.
Thank you. We had strategic alignment, and we had some comments here in our group. It was great. But the first one was just going back to customer centricity. It all starts with culture. And the way you treat your employees is the way they're going to treat the customer. So it all starts there.
Yes.
Then talking about strategic alignment, the idea was first check on the goals. What are the goals and what are the strategies to get there? And start with the executive team. and then go to the employees and then to the customer and see if those things are aligned. Chances are they're not. So then what do? Then you go have an offsite and a great facilitator to help get things aligned. But it does start with the executive team. They have to have their goals straight in order to communicate to the employees and to, of course, be sure they're aligned with what the customer wants and needs. As far as the green storm, there was a great idea at the table. Said, okay, if your company needs to break through something, start something new, innovative, have them start from scratch designing a new company. What if you were going to start up a completely new company? How would you do it? What would you do? And then, after they get that design, okay, so let's apply some of these ideas to what's happening now. So that was a green storm idea. We had a great discussion.
Great input. Scott, can you kind of summarize quickly what you came up with? What was the area you had?
Yeah, we also had strategic alignment, so I'll just briefly just say one thing about that. That's very good. It's about relationships within your company, but also with your customer. And one thing that we noticed with all of the people that spoke this morning was experiences with your customer. Right? They're providing an experience. They're managing expectations. We gave an example at our table of somebody, and all of you could take this as a takeaway today. Going to, I know a CEO who goes to charitable events, he goes to the silent auctions, he gets those really cool experience packages like Super Bowl tickets or NBA finals, some reality TV show, a guest appearance. He buys those, takes his best customers to those events, builds that relationship, manages expectations, he's in alignment with them. He's done it for years and years and years. The charities love him, he's on the boards, he gets into any place he needs to get to, his business is exploding, he's differentiating himself. But it's about managing expectations and being in alignment. So being in alignment internally, right? We talked about being in a sales and marketing customer-centric, but also making sure operations, finance, human resources, they're thinking about the customers. So again, relationships, and all of you guys have done a phenomenal job, obviously, knowing your customer.
You're here. Yeah, please. Michael?
Sure.
And we'll come back.
Thanks, Scott. Our topic was understanding and acting on customer needs, and a big part of what we talked about was making sure that everybody in the company understands the brand, what the company stands for, and everybody understands what their particular role is in the organization, how it relates to that branding, whether they might be in customer service or sales, or even a warehouse worker that's picking goods and shipping that out. And I was most recently a VP of marketing of McKesson, who's the biggest healthcare company in America. Most people haven't heard about them, but they're a big distribution arm for the medical industry. And our warehouse guys needed to understand their role in the end customer experience, because if there was a medical product that wasn't delivered to a hospital on time, that's a huge issue. So the fact that everybody understands that brand is incredibly important in understanding their particular role. And it's going to affect their happiness in a company, and it could affect retention of an employee in a big way because they understand why they're important. So we talked a lot about that.
Very good.
Great comments. All right. Quickly, a quick summary of what your table came up with.
These are historic times, which we all know, the transition of technology, transition of social media. These are going to be times that we'll all be talking about the 2010, 2015, and we were just talking at the table about how it's going with the millennials where they're not communicating, where it's just kind of all the texting and so on, but it's now transitioning to video. It's now becoming live, and everything's going to the Periscope and the Facebook live feeds. And I'm not in all this technology like a lot of you are, but I brought my son who was ranked number 7 in the world for influence on social media, so Eric, he's in a shy.
Great.
But it's interesting.
Non-solicitation format, but nice to get that in. All right, one final comment. Oh, sorry.
So we had peripheral vision, and we had a couple of things that we talked about. One of them is, first of all, how do you get the internal folk to see outside? And so there's many ways they can do that. They can go out and visit, they can do professional group networking, but go ask other people what's going on and engage in a way that you understand where are they doing well, where are their challenges, and then use that to bring better understanding back to the organization. But the second piece is, it's really important to look at your sources of information. If you're strictly scanning the same old, or reading simply the Wall Street Journal or this particular source or that particular source, you are not going to see the new things and be able to anticipate what's changing in the marketplace and understand what's going on in that peripheral space. And so it's important to look at non-traditional sources of information to bring back into your organization and be able to assess them accurately.
Boy, what a great comment. Any closing comments from our panel here? Yeah, please, Joel.
It sounds like, we're all in sales, so it's important to really realize that it really takes a village to raise a child. So a lot of people in sales tend to hold everything close to their chest. So for us, it's important that the salesperson share the comments. That way, we can help them, grow the sales process in a much faster way if they're more open to actually working with somebody else. So that's a very important part that we started doing quite a while ago, and it's working quite well.
Closing comments? Yep. London, I'll leave you with the last word for this segment. Thank you.
The area of leadership, I think, is critical to customer centricity and culture. And I actually saw that last week in Facebook, where the people that we were talking to there were talking about the leaders as role modelling customer centricity and creating, therefore, empowerment for people at all levels to do what's right for the customer. And I think that the leadership role that we all have in this room is absolutely critical. So you're actually not only talking about it, but you're doing it and making it happen. So you're a living, practicing, customer-centric leader will influence the rest of the organisation.
Very good, thank you. Here's what we're going to do. In respect for your time, we're going to do about a three-minute close. Sorry, we'll have to come back to you. We're going to be in this room until noon, but the formal close is going to be in about 3 minutes. When we do the formal close, then please adjourn to that side of the room and meet folks like Doug Patiller, the Brandman folks, John Wentworth, who's here, Mel Segundo, and a few of our other key supporters. Please interact with them. Now, panel, again, the impossible we've asked of them, to get their comments down to 10 minutes. Can we have a round of applause for this? Gentlemen, thank you. Take a seat for a second, and we've got 2.5 minutes left. Roll tape, please. Elizabeth.